Hey guys, and welcome to this special episode of SBL. This is our, I guess you could call it a stats video. I'm here with Alex. Say hello.
Yo, I love stats.
Yes, he is. He is a stats man. Uh, Something Alex and I do every season is Alex likes to deal with the golden fist that you see every week. This is the reason why we did not have a golden fists for week 11. Because we're going to be showing it all off here. And I tend to go for the MVP ladder. I deal with that side of it. So we thought we've got a week off between main season and finals. We usually do all of our admin, as I call it, in this time.
Mm.
Let's show it off. Might as well. We put enough effort into it. Why not?
Yeah, lots of effort actually.
Oh,
I do it
yes.
for myself. I honestly really enjoy doing it.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. So starting with MVPs.
So we'll start with MVPs. First up, I'll explain the situation with MVPs. I believe I've mentioned it before, but I'll go over it again just in case. So for each match, each player gets a certain amount of votes they can put on a Pokemon. So we have a 3-2-1 system. We've just started that this season. For any of you who are from Australia, mainly from Victoria, you'll understand it's a similar system to the AFL's Brownlow Medal.
Yeah.
They have a 3-2-1 system. We have a 3-2-1 system for each player, and then a combined 3-2-1 system from the analysts, from the four of us that you've been mainly hearing across these videos.
Yeah. We just add up. We all give a 3-2-1 for every game, and then we add up those votes, and then whichever have the three highest get the 3-2-1 from us.
And if we've got ties, I've just had to break ties however I can find them, which has been pretty easy for a lot of. There's been a couple of them where I went, oh, I've got to figure this one out, but
Yeah.
been pretty good. So usually, a maximum a Pokemon can get is 9 votes in a round. If the analysts all agree and it gets the 3 points from them, and then both players take 3 points for it, there's its 9 points.
Yeah.
So we usually, in the old way we did it, we would just have each player vote for a single MVP and the analysts combined vote for a single MVP. And it, a lot of the time, led to a lot of combined winners.
Yeah.
We didn't have singular MVPs, or if we did, they weren't MVPs of the situation of the season by much.
It also
We
just
had a
doesn't
lot of them.
let you show off the Pokemon that probably like set up a sweep, because they're usually the ones that get 2 votes, and the sweeper will get the 3. And if they get a couple 2 votes and then maybe get a sweep themselves later, in the old system they'd only have like 1 or 2 votes by the end of the season, but because they racked up the 2 votes before, they could actually challenge for MVP. And I think that
Yeah.
is a much better way of doing it.
Oh, I agree. I know I've had a lot more fun with this one, just seeing how things have changed dramatically week through week.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because this one,
absolutely.
the MVP is kept completely hidden from everybody. The only people that see it are basically myself and Alex. Andrew and Nick do have access to it. They don't often look at it, or ever, in the case of, I think, either of them.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But this is more to make it more interesting.
Yeah.
And this season, the way we've done it, I think, has made it more interesting.
All
So
right. We
let's
start
jump
from
into it. We'll
number 30.
do the top 30. Yeah, I think the top 30 makes sense.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so 30 and, well, 31 as well. Tied on 12 is Ursaluna from normal and Umbreon. There's one captain and one regular one.
Yep, Umbreon being Poison's captain.
Yeah, Poison's captain. Just above that, we've got Goldengo from Ghost, Latias from Dragon, Iron Hands Electric, and Victini Psychic, all 14 and 13. They're all mons who had a couple games where they like took control, and then probably some other games where they've got like 1 or 2 votes sprinkled in. So
Latias is
basically,
probably
Latias was
the
consistent.
one very consistent on doing its support role. It wasn't an offensive one. It was its support role. Like Umbreon. Umbreon was a support role for a lot of it, except Umbreon was known to click crunch a lot.
And
Terra
Sucker
Blast.
Punch. Yeah.
This is true. So, I mean, Sucker Punch, to a point, when it comes to a Pokemon like Umbreon, Sucker Punch is almost a support move.
Yeah. To be fair, the poison coach did give his Pokemon a lot of votes sometimes when those votes probably should have been given to the other team, but he was just being loyal to his own type.
And you know what? That's what makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Um, yeah, the others all just had like one or two good games and then maybe some other one or two votes sprinkled in. Just above that, um, from 25 to 15, I'll do. We got Komoro from fighting, Landorus T from ground, which was, I thought, probably deserved more votes. Dragalge from poison, which was poison's highest. Walking Wake as a captain. Zoro Kasui and Tapu Koko, that's to 20. Um, they were all very good. I think Zoroark probably could have got brought more, and it would have made it like a big difference in some of his battles. Personally,
I
um,
know, speaking to Marvin last week, he was a bit more worried about bringing Zoroark too often because he didn't want people to start expecting it. Because
yeah.
he wanted it to be that surprise factor of people forgetting it existed.
But now it's finals. I think he's got to just bring it because having that immunity to fighting is
Yeah.
such a big deal.
Well, we talked about it, and I said to him when we did have our match, even though, my brain deciding to lose the idea that Vacuum Wave existed, but
Yeah,
I built the team around knowing Zoroark Hisui was a likely bring, and it didn't come. So
yeah,
it does its job even when it doesn't come.
yeah, definitely. Wake had a really good start to the season and kind of dropped off a bit. Coco was sort of the opposite of Wake, where it picked up towards the end. I think it was eject button like every single week.
Yeah,
Just
it was
about.
eject button a lot.
It was more just get the terrain off, take a hit, switch into boulder.
Yeah,
That was his
it
job.
was Rock's setup mon. That's exactly what it
Yeah.
was. It was getting those consistent twos because it was getting Boulder in and Boulder sweeping.
Yep. Just above that, we got Shuckle from Bug, which really came home strong, and it can be a pain in the ass if you forget to prep about it.
Oh,
Another Landorus T, this
that
one
was
Flyings.
the
Landorus I, which was Ice's captain. Haxorus, Ogerpon Cornerstone from Grass, which is incredible all season, I think. Probably unlucky not to get more votes, but it just played its role very well. It was literally a
Cornerstone
cornerstone.
showing, and again, something that Marvin and I mentioned. Cornerstone showing how good it actually is when, and I made the point of Teal Mask is probably the one that's the least represented, but Cornerstone's probably not far off that.
Yeah.
But proving here how much work it really does.
Especially
Which,
when you've got grass, because it just has so many weaknesses, and rock's actually able to cover quite a few. It's
oh
just
yeah,
very necessary most weeks, and unless you want to bring Cradily and Lileep, which he did bring Lileep once. Um, or did he? I don't know.
no,
He did a lot of prep.
that was Rock. Rock brought the leap to the final battle.
Yeah, but Nick did a lot of prep with Lileep and ended up not bringing it.
Yes, no, I do remember. I do remember hearing about that.
Yeah. Anyway, just above that, Alolan Muck, which was really good for Dark. Buzzwole for Bug, which also came home really strong. Mega Lopunny, I thought was one of the better mons all season and really started to pick up late. Great Tusk. The grass captain Dick just absolutely hated that he picked it at the start, but it ended up being one of the best captains.
He
Like
kept
definitely
complaining
top
about
three.
having to bring it as a support Pokemon, and bringing it sashed and bring doing this to it, and I'm just thinking, I'm looking at him going, this thing's a monster. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
It's just when it has to be a grass type and it's got such weak special defense, it just cops it.
I mean, yes, correct.
Um, yeah, so there's that, and then Tinkaton for Fairy, Cleavor for Bug, both just really solid all season.
This is
Um,
now moving into the top 10.
yeah, into the top 10. They absolutely crushed it. Tinkaton, once he brought it once, he was just bringing it all season. It was so good.
Pinkerton is one of
Cleavor,
those Pokemon where I've knowing because I used this thing in the original playthrough I did of this generation, and it disappointed me.
yeah,
It didn't do enough for what it is, but it has proven a time and time again when you're playing it competitively in a draft league, this thing just does everything you want it to do.
yeah,
It's so much better than it has any right because you're building it to do a job, and
yeah,
that job is correct.
yeah, definitely. Um, Cleavor, well, for Bug, it was really good. Probably my biggest surprise of the season was just how little Rock used Cleavor. I think he brought it once, and it
Yeah,
got
it was
like
only
one
once or
kill.
twice. Yeah,
Yeah, it got like one kill, didn't die, did its job. I was really surprised that he didn't bring Cleavor as much as Bug did because it worked out really well for Bug.
I
Um,
think Bug, in the situation of, well, we say Bug's, one of the worst typings in the game, but we've proven, he proved he was able to make it to finals with Bug.
yeah,
In the same conference as Flying, same conference as Fire. So he's got a lot of his bigger weaknesses sitting in that one conference.
yeah.
Cleavor being able to just set up the rocks and allow one of the only three Pokemon that can legally set rocks,
Mm,
one of which being its other version
yeah,
in the
yeah.
rock version.
It is so
Um,
valuable.
it's incredibly valuable.
Yeah. Moving on to 8, we have Blissey from Electric tied with Greninja from Dark and Como from Dragon. So Blissey being a captain was just good all season. Um, Pretty solid. When Electric got a few wins early, it was pretty pivotal in all of them. Greninja from Dark was probably a step behind Meowscarada all season, but it was still very impactful and had its own games where it took over. And then Como from Dragon just had like 3 sweeps. It's got 27 votes, so I think it had 3 sweeps where it got 3 weeks where it got 9 votes.
I think it did. Yeah, I think it's major sweeps and even or possibly it's set up into was it normal or was it? I think it was normal. It's set up. Well, we believe it was a setup where it decided to belly drum itself to half health so it could die to get in the Dragonite.
Yeah, that was
Whether
something.
that was the play or not, we don't know, but we're claiming that's the play because it
Well, I
sounds better.
think the screens were already up, so it could have just gone
Yes.
Dragonite.
Yeah, the screens
That's
were up, but
okay.
this guaranteed the multi-scale to stay alive.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how the play worked. Let's just say it was on purpose.
Well, it was screens up, it was belly drum down to 50%, and then the whatchamacallit, dazzling gleam came
Yeah.
through, 4 times effective, knocked it out.
Top 5 now. Meowscarada from Dark, just half a step ahead of Greninja, as always all season. Just had some more kills too. And then fourth and third were captains in Aegislash and Volcanion. Well, Volcanion's actually tied second. Um, but I think they were the two best captains. Personally, I know I had Aegislash, so sounds a bit how you going, but I think they were the two most consistent all season. Um,
Volcanion was, in my opinion, the best captain.
yeah,
And
I agree.
like this is obviously the MVP is showing that it was voted as the best captain. But it was such a good pickup. It was one of those mons where when it was taken from water, I was like, okay, it's not the one I was more worried about losing Walking Wake than I was Volcanion.
Yeah,
Until I started building teams and realized I needed Volcanion half the weeks.
yeah. The
Having
only
that
fire
water
type you have.
absorb, only fire type, having that water absorb for ground,
Yeah, that was incredible.
already having access to earth power and not needing to just go for Terra Blast. It's just such a versatile mon. We saw it rocking Flame Charge,
Mm.
Flamethrower, Hydro
And
Steam.
it would also have like assault vest, but just having fire water ground in general is great coverage.
Such a good coverage, such a good mon. It did so well. And Aegislash is, I mean, it's my favorite Pokemon of all time.
Yeah,
Has been since Generation 6 when I first saw this thing. It's a ghost sword and shield. Like, I'm sorry, you're not getting much better than that for me.
yeah.
Um,
Just did its
Being a steel
job.
type guy, it just does its job,
Did
and
very
it is just
different things
it's
as
a good
well. Like,
Pokemon. No matter how you could bring this thing, and it just exists, and your opponent has to be very worried about what's happening.
mm. It got
Because you can,
I had a couple stall variants. They got an autotomize kind of sweep or like late game sweep. Um, it was just always annoying with King Shield. Just did its job.
and look at that. King Shield got nerfed. It got nerfed to only -1 attack instead of -2.
I
And
didn't even know it was
it's
-2.
so it used to be, I believe, King Shield used to be -2, and Aegislash's stats used to be 10 higher in its attacks and defenses,
That's
depending on what
ridiculous.
form. It got nerfed twice, and is still one of the best Pokemon out there.
Yeah. Equal second with Volcanion was Cinderace, which was, in my opinion, clearly Fire's best. I think he brought it like almost every week because it was just very handy to have
Well, if it
or
wasn't every
change
week, it was
fast.
almost every week.
Protein and Libero in monotype leagues were just incredible. Um, so handy to have one of those in your team. And it
Oh
was
yeah.
just very good all season. And that brings us to number one, which was Iron Boulder from Rock, which
Yes, the MVP of this
stormed
season.
home. Absolutely
Not
stormed home late.
not the Pokemon we originally anticipated.
No.
Let's be perfectly honest. Boulder really proved itself for Rock, having access to, like we talked about, the eject pack Tapu Koko for terrain.
Yep.
It comes in, I believe it was a speed boost 90% of the time, if not 100% of the time.
Yeah, it just
Um,
makes it outspeed everything.
and then just having access to Stab Psychic, one of the only 100% accurate rock moves, the only 100% accurate rock move that's good.
Yeah, that's physical.
That's physical. Actually, yes, correct. It is physical.
Well, Power Gem's the only good special one that's 100%. I mean, Ancient Power,
I was
maybe.
gonna say it depends on how you classify ancient power.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually power gem or ancient power are usually the two you would think of. Um, but yeah, mighty cleave existing is just so big for rock. It can
Yeah.
hit you hard, and it well, it can obviously it can miss if you've got accuracy changes in that. But we don't play with accuracy changes because we don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Because we like fun.
I I don't personally. This has been my opinion. Ever since I made this league, I've always made evasion boosting moves and accuracy lowering moves banned because they're not fun.
No.
You know, I don't want to have to deal with a minimizing Chansey
No, it's a
or
pain
a
in the ass.
minimizing Muck. Like, I don't want to have to deal with somebody mud slapping me to death and losing all my accuracy just to not be able to attack.
Yeah.
It's just not fun.
All right, should we get on to the
But
Golden Fist?
yes, I think we should. So we'll start with. Should we start with the top 30 of this one as well? I think.
Yeah. Do
Alrighty, so
that.
we'll do. I reckon let's go for the full ladder first, and then we'll have a look at the bottom of the ladder and take a look at some
Mm-hmm.
of the guys down there, and then we'll rock over to the captain's ladder. I think that'll be interesting to have a look at that.
Yeah, definitely.
So when we look at this ladder, obviously it's a little bit different to the other ones. Um, but you guys have slowly, if you guys have been watching it, you've slowly seen this ladder change and change and change. But this is now the official set of this ladder.
Yep.
So for our top 30, we start with Dragalge in 30th
Yeah,
with
it
6 and
snuck in
3.
again.
It's
Tied with
it's
Metagross.
Poison's Dragalge tied with Psychic's Metagross at 6 and 3 for a +3 differential. Iron Hands, Electric's Iron Hands is also still in the low spots as well.
Yep.
8
Did
and
his job
5
all
for also
season.
3. 27 and 26 are equal at 4 and 0 at a +4 differential. It's Fighting's Pormot and Scrafty.
Yep, Scrafty got
So
4 kills in week 1 and then
and
just
then
managed to stay in the top
never came
30.
again.
Nope, never came again, managed to stay in the top 30. Paul
Uh,
finished off flying, I believe.
yes, I
That's
believe
week 1.
Your Pormot was brought. Was it just that last week?
Week 9, I think, against flying, or
Week
week
9,
10.
sorry. Yep. 25th, we have I believe this specifically. No, it doesn't. I am incorrect. Good thing I didn't finish that sentence. But this puts Steel into that top 5 with the newest comer. This is Lucario at 5 and 1, tied with Waters Quaquaval and Flying's Galarian Moltres, all at 5 and 1, with a +4 differential. Lucario
Yep,
just coming that final week, doing so well into normal.
literally
And just
making the only thing not making Steel's stats look awful is Lucario's
is
last game.
is that Lucario, correct? But the other two, Quavel, I know, McQuavel coming from my own squad. The one death it had, it was just not my finest hour.
What was that
But
again?
I believe it was the normal matchup.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's not the finest hour with the forgetting of certain things, like we mentioned before. But we've both come prepared with Quavels this season.
I love Quaquaval.
Life Orb, Moxie, Aqua Step is just
Yep,
who doesn't love a Dragon Dance when killing something
I know. Just
with a water
max
move?
attack, life orb, adamant. and then just Aquajet something, and then Aqua
Oh,
Step.
it's so much fun. And then
Aquajet will do
your
like 80% to everything that it hits super effectively if it's
yeah,
Adamant and Life Orb. It's ridiculous.
and then your old friend Galarian Moltres,
The logo.
your logo, or part of your logo at least,
Yeah.
the main part of the logo.
He used it well. He barely lost when he brought it. He should have brought it more, I
Yeah,
think.
Moltres Galar, I think was. I mean, obviously, it's not the MVP of flying, but I think it should have been considered to actually possibly be the MVP of flying.
Hmm.
Moving up to 22nd, 22nd and 21st, both sharing 6 and 2, also at a +4 differential. We have Normal's Beware and Grass's Mega Venusaur. So this is
Yeah.
Grass's only Pokemon in this top 30.
Shockingly, something that provides grass with resistances to some of its weaknesses because it's just weak to so many common types.
It's so good. Mega Venusaur has just been a thorn in many people's sides
Yeah.
across the generations of this league.
When's
It's
this
been a
video
thorn in
going
my
up?
side.
Is this video going up this week or next week?
Possibly, I'd hope so.
Well, either way, I'm just going to say it. There's been one of the most annoying things to prep for in finals because I've got grass in the first week and it's just so frustrating. It can run so many different sets. I'm scared of like a cursed physical set because I feel like he might run that.
Well, we saw Curse in the last round, but it was Curse
Hmm.
with special attacks.
Yep.
We've
I
seen him
mean,
use an
either one
Amnesia
works,
set against me,
which also scares me.
which was disgusting. Um, Moving up, we have in joint 20th and 19th at 7 and 3 with also there's a lot of +4 differentials here. We have Dragons, Hisuian Gudra, and Flying's Landorus T. So this is Flying's
Yeah.
top Pokemon for the league. Hisuian Gudra coming through. That was, I believe, it was mainly for the norm. No, was it the normal
No, it was
matchup
the
and the
very
skill
last
matchup?
battle against Fairy where
It
it
was the
just
fairy matchup. Yeah, that's the
yeah.
one.
It was cursed as well, actually. Cursed Gyro Ball.
Yeah, and it was just not
Swept.
wanting to. It just they just didn't want to do anything to it. Just Draining Kiss.
Yeah. Yeah, he just
Anyways,
kept draining kissing it when you could have just Thunder Waves earlier. I mean, he missed the
yeah,
first Thunder Wave and then didn't try again.
I think that first miss kind of scared him enough to maybe not want to click it as often.
Yeah, I don't think he would have
Uh,
won if he killed it, but he absolutely could have killed it much earlier
yes.
than what he did. Um,
Moving up into
anyway,
18th and 17th at 8 and 4, we have Normal's Megalopony, and we have Grounds Landorus T. So the land both Landorus T sitting at a +4 differential,
mm,
but the
they could have
difference
been right next
being
to each other.
they literally could have been. The difference literally being just a single kill and a single death. So Landorus jumping up that little bit.
Yep.
Megalopony's been incredible this season. It really
Hmm.
has.
It actually started slow. It was like 0 and 2 or something. So since then, it's been 8 and 2. So
Yeah,
it's been very,
it,
very good.
it's
Just
done so well.
consistently awesome. He doesn't need
Moving up.
any other megas because it's like Ordino's the only other one.
Well,
So
it's just Auden. I know he's spoken to me about he was thinking about Audino, but he just can't find space for it.
no.
Moving in 16th place, we have Fighting's Mega Gallade with 5 and 0. It's just purely
I think it
straight up
was
didn't die.
ground. It was ground. I brought it
Yes,
in. It got 5 kills.
I believe so.
I
Yeah.
have a lot of those where I brought them like once or twice, but they only got sent out and got a sweep in a game, or like at least 4 kills, and then it just like didn't do
Yeah.
anything else the rest of the season.
Moving up 15th and 14th, shared on 6 and 1. We have Fighting's Terrakion and Water's Mega Gyarados. This is my top mon in Mega Gyarados, which I'm very happy to see it's Mega Gyarados.
Yeah,
Because
it's a good.
that was the ghost sweep.
Yeah.
The red card into Gyarados. That was
Yep.
that was hard.
Well, don't run the same item every week, and maybe that won't happen.
Well, it's also just you can't predict what you're going to go into with a red card.
Yeah.
But Terrakion's
Terrakion,
sitting there. How was
I think
Terrakion's?
it was like 2 battles, I think, that it got
Yeah,
those stats from. Kind of later in the
Terrakion
season.
used to be one of the strongest Pokemon to use in a draft league. This
Yeah.
is going back multiple seasons, and now it sits there and it's fine.
Yep.
Power creep is a thing,
Did its
but
job
it's nice
though.
to see it. It's nice to see it doing its job.
Yeah, nice and fast. So it's a good speed tier for some of the tougher matchups.
Oh yeah. 13th place we have at 7 and 2, finishing off the +5 differentials. Dragon's Dragonite.
Yep.
I thought this would have been higher, honestly.
It really
Um,
only did the normal sweep and then picked up like
yeah,
one or two kills here or there.
it was one of the scariest mons to prep for because of the access to multi-scale,
Mm,
extreme speed. It was majority, or not majority, but we saw it quite a few times being weakness policy, and with access to multi-scale weakness policy,
yeah,
it's a very scary thing to worry about.
it was already very good, but I feel like Dragon Knight's value went up so much with this being in a monotype season because you know you're going to get hit with certain super effective moves. You have multi-scale. If you get screens up, which Dragon gets a lot of things that set screens reliably, and like run weakness policy, which is another item that's value's gone up in monotype. It's just unstoppable. I think it's something that may win him a final or two if he manages to pull off another one against normal, maybe.
Well, I would
Um,
say it
yeah,
was even more valuable once rocks were banned because you couldn't break
yeah,
that. You physically could not break multi-scale
yeah. It's just the way
unless you were
this
able to
season's
set
set
the
up.
Tomex. Yeah,
The way the season's set up is so valuable. I think it should be higher, but Komoro was doing most of the sweeping for him.
correct. Yeah. Moving up into the +6 differentials at 12 and 11, we have at 6 and 0 Fire's Blacephalon and Dragon's Curum. You know, Blacephalon came and swept.
Psychic. It was
It was
psychic.
Psychic, wasn't it? Yeah, it was
Yep.
the Beast Boosting Shadow Balls. Choice Scarf, Beast
No
Boost,
answer
Shadow
for
Ball.
Scarf. Blacephalon.
And it was just such a. It was just a clinic. That's just
Yeah.
Blacephalon in a nutshell, you know? Anybody who never played Gen 7 who never had to deal with Beast Boosting Mons. Yeah, that's exactly what they did.
Yep. I
Beast
don't remember how
boosting.
Curum got 6-0. It might have been a couple games.
I believe it was across a few. I believe it freeze dried a couple of my guys.
Mm.
I don't remember the rest of them. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah, neither do
but
I.
I know Curum came through a couple of times.
Um,
Yeah, moving now into the top 10. So this is the business end. At 10 and 9, both at 7 and 1, we have Bugs Buzzwole and Normal's Hisuian Zoroark.
yeah, these two were very good. This top 10, I think, is the 10 best Pokemon this season. I think they've all genuinely been really good.
I
Um,
agree. Yeah.
Buzzwole has the case to be Bug's best mon, if not Cleavor. It's just it took control of a couple games, and it's just so reliable. And with the choice scarf, again, Beast Boost, like you were talking about, such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's
Um,
Buzzwole being such an incredibly powerful physical attacker and being legal. You know, this is a mon that for a lot of times in a lot of seasons is not legal.
yeah,
But it was legal in this one, and it proved its worth. You know, we didn't see Pheromosa.
yeah,
Um,
which is it's illegal. It's banned. So
yes, of course,
annoying.
because I
As
believe it gets is it Quividance it gets.
no,
There's
it's
some
just
sort of boosting
super
move it
fast.
gets.
It's
It's
just
just
so
nuts.
fast.
Yes. But yeah, Buzzwole was able to sneak through out of the monotype bands. Uh,
Well, it's
and
not
then what
it's
do you?
not like super good. The thing is, there's been a few things that are like UUBL in Nat decks that are banned in Nat decks monotype, which is
Yes.
obviously the ban list we use, which was quite frustrating because
Yeah,
I ended up
it
losing like
really
Mega
is.
Metacham, regular
Yeah,
Blaziken, I think Pheromosa as well, which was like
yeah, I
OU.
believe so.
So that was
And then
annoying.
we've already spoken about Hisuian Zoroark. It's such a good mon. I'm so happy to see it in that top 10.
Yeah,
It just comes in, does its work, gets out of there, and you don't even know you were dealing with a Zoroark half the
I
time.
th I think if Marvin's gonna go far in finals, this thing has to be his finals MVP, along with Lopunny.
I
They
agree.
have to carry.
I think
Like
these two are going to have to
it's
form a
obvious.
massive core.
It's obvious to like when you're prepping against it, but if you play Zoroark and Lopunny properly, then it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And Marvin's
Correct.
a good enough
Yeah.
battler, I think he can pull it off.
Yeah, I agree with that. Moving up at eighth place, we have at 9 and 3, Fire's top mon, Cinderace.
Yeah, I did so much more than just get kills as well, like we talked about
Yeah,
before.
I
Just
mean we've said
very
it.
good.
You know, Libero, Protean.
Yeah,
In a monotype season, an ability that lets you change your type is incredibly useful.
yeah,
Um,
insane.
and yeah, there's no we've spoken. To be fair, we have spoken a lot about all the rest of these mons coming up.
Yeah,
So there isn't much else to say about them, but we'll see what we can find. Uh, in 7th and 6th, equal on 11 kills and 5 deaths. Bugs Cleavor and Fairies Tinkerton.
Yeah, they got brought a lot because, I mean, only 10 battles and you're not the captain, so they've got brought more than 5 times each. So over half the season, just cornerstones of their team relied on heavily, and they got the job done most of the time.
And just doing what they do best. And
Yep.
that's just breaking through teams. So now we hit the top 5. In 5th place, 7-0. Fightings, O. So this is your top mon.
Yeah, it got a big sweep against Electric. I think it might have got like 5 kills. And then I think it picked up 2 against Grass. And then I switched it out. I wasn't able to get the Z move off, but it got like a vacuum wave and then a flamethrower kill, I believe.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
It's just really handy because fighting gets about 3 or 4 good special attackers, and this thing's one of them, and it can actually boost its special attack unlike a lot of the other ones.
And the fact that Komo is able to be run so differently, physically and
Yeah,
specially, both really good.
but if it didn't have a 4 times weakness, it could be the best Pokemon of all time, honestly.
Yeah, I don't disagree, honestly. And proving to that point, in 4th place, 13-3, it's Dragon's Komo.
Yeah, he
This
just
is
brought it a few
Dragon's
more
Pop.
times, just did his job
I can
every
tell you
time he
right
brought it.
now, Komo is one of his favorite Pokemon of all time. This
Yeah.
has been anytime we have a season, he tries to take Komo whenever he can because he knows how to use it and he's proven he knows how to use it.
Hmm.
He did have, sadly, when it did come up against Bug, he did lose the Z move to the Rabombi,
Yeah, that was
which
like the
kind of,
one time it happened all season, though.
yeah, exactly. Komo was able to sit there and just charge through teams.
But the thing about that, like, you just have so many mind games to play, and people can be like, "Oh yeah, I'll just bring a fairy type and switch it in when he clicks the Z move." But then when you switch it in, it clicks sub, and then you're screwed.
Correct. Yep,
Or you can like attack the fairy type in another way.
correct.
It's just having that card, having that great Pokemon, just makes everything else a lot easier. It makes them have to make the predictions.
So now
You
we
know?
make it to the top 3.
Yeah.
In 3rd place, 15-3, Dark Greninja.
Mm-hmm. Surprise,
Again,
surprise,
we've
protein.
we've said, we've spoken till the cows come home about Protean, about Libero, because you look right above it at 2nd place, Dark's Meowscarada at 15-0.
Yep. Same
You
amount of
know,
kills. Greninja just died. I can't believe no one killed that Meowscarada all season.
Meowscarada was brought to pretty
Seven or
much
eight
every
games.
battle, I think.
It was 7 or 8. It was a
It was
lot.
7 or 8, yeah, and didn't take a single death. Took 15 kills and didn't take a single death.
It was incredible.
It's
He'd
just
be
so
thinking
good.
about bringing it against Fairy because, I mean, it hasn't died, so he hasn't lost with it. And his one loss all season was to Fairy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
who knows?
And then in the first position, he's done the sweep. Iron Boulder rocks Iron Boulder at 19-2 with a
Again,
plus 17 differential.
just stormed home late. And Meowscarada was the front runner most of the season.
Yes,
Just
it
stole it
was
from it.
these last few weeks with Iron Boulder. Oh, not last few. The last probably 4
Yeah,
weeks of Iron Boulder
yeah.
just catapulted it to the top.
Such a good Pokemon.
Incredible. You would have seen, as we've gone through, you've slowly seen Boulder start coming up. I believe it took 1st place a couple weeks back.
Yeah,
And then it just stayed there.
yeah.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. Okay, let's move on to the
Captain.
bottom of the table.
Oh, the bottom, yes.
Let's just look at a couple of these real quick. We do see quite a few of the same typings around here.
Yeah.
We see quite a few ice types. We see quite a few poison types. We see quite a bit of ghost typing.
Quite a bit of steel.
Quite a
A lot
bit
of
of
kills.
steel. Funnily enough, we were mentioning about Latias and how well it did in the MVP vote. It's sitting here at the bottom of the table
Yeah,
at
that
0
is
and 3.
why MVP is important. That's why the 3 vote system is important because that
Correct.
thing was very, very good. It may have been
Correct.
325th in the Golden Fist, but that doesn't matter.
In my
It's
opinion,
great.
same as looking further up. 318 and 319, we've got Darks Muckalolan and Dark Sting
Yeah. I think
incredibly,
Muck
incredibly good
got
for them.
taken advantage of a couple times, but it was very good, and Tinglu probably the same. But they both did their job.
Yes.
God's Eye too, I think.
And then towards the bottom here, we've kind of made it a bit of a joke this season. Mega Glalie.
This damn thing.
So we've had issues with this thing. I know in my battle with Ice in week 2, it was brought Moody, which is a band ability. So we had to recreate it without it being Moody, which was fine.
Mhm.
That was easy fix.
Just adds to the
But
lore. The
I'm
Mega Glalie lore.
pretty sure it was up until, was it last? It was week 10, I believe. It was
It was the last. It
killer.
was week 11. Oh no, it was week 10 because he had to buy in
It was
week
week 10
11.
because he has the buy in week 11.
So his last
It was
battle.
killless.
Yep.
And then finally decided to go for Glaciate Explosion, Refrigerate Explosion.
And I got one kill.
It got one kill, and
His
I
team
have.
building did infuriate me throughout the season. It
It
just
was
like I know
very
Ice isn't the most versatile type, especially when you lose Weavile and Galarian Dominiton, but you don't need to bring Mega Glalie every single week. You know?
no, no, I agree. And look, it saddens me to see Alolan Ninetales down there as well.
Yeah. That thing didn't
Um,
do much either.
and like, and I know for a fact it would sadden him to see Titan that far down.
Yeah.
Going
A
from
former
the
Golden Fist winner.
MVP, it was MVP as well, I
I
believe.
think so. I think it was both.
Let me double check. I believe it was. It was the Golden Fist winner of season 10, and it was the MVP winner of season 10. Yeah,
Yep. Two
and
and
it's
seven.
it's ended up at 2 and 7.
I've never thought it was that good, but I think he piloted it well when it won.
When it won, it was incredible because sometimes you just could not deal with. When it got behind the sub, was able to set everything up. People couldn't deal with it.
Yep.
This time around, I think people were a little bit more clued into what the Titan can and can't do.
Something I just noticed then was Poison's Alolan Mox actually right there as well. So both
There's
Alolan Mox are in the bottom bit of the Golden Fist, which is mostly because it's just such a reliable Pokemon with only one weakness that
yeah,
you want to bring it every week. And it's
yeah.
not the type that will get sweeps. But it definitely wasn't bad for either Poison or Dark.
No, same with funnily enough, same with Poison's Monkey Dory though, I actually think Monkey Dory did quite good for what it was. Um,
Yeah.
it didn't do as much as it probably could have, but God did it throw a spanner in the works a few times.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
We
uh,
do have to address the elephant in the room. There's one, two, three, four, five ghost types down here. So these were the other five that the ghost trainer brought along with Weavile to every single battle except two, which Skeledirge swapped out for Ceruledge, I believe. Or for Ceruledge once and for Mimikyu once.
no, it
Or,
was Gengar for one.
or Gengar once, yeah.
It was Gengar for once, yeah.
Otherwise, they would also have 10 deaths.
Yes, we have a lot of the ghost types are down here. Literally, I believe 7 were brought across the season, including the Captain Weavile,
Yeah,
and 5 of them are in this bottom section.
which is definitely the most disappointing team building of the season. And Ghost was the type I wanted the most going into it. I knew I wasn't going to get it because I was down the bottom, but it was definitely the type I was most interested in seeing how it went. And yeah, they're disappointing, but
I mean,
that it
look,
ended up
sadly,
like it was.
that's how the cookie crumbles, and
Yeah,
it crumbled. Oh, excuse me.
I wouldn't
Quite a
have
bit.
minded if like Ghost lost every game, but if we just saw some variance in prep, it's got some really good Pokemon.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. All right. Well, as a final bit for this, let's go through our captains.
Yeah,
So these are all the captains, as you would have seen them throughout the weeks. These are the captains and where they ended up. Obviously, they have to be brought every week. So there are 3 here with 10 deaths. Um,
that's that's quite funny.
Sadly, Rillaboom down there at the bottom steals Rillaboom,
Yep. Which was
bringing
the
the
only one that
ability.
lost every battle as well. So the others, even when they didn't lose,
Yeah.
still died.
I mean, interestingly enough, the lowest amount of deaths overall for a captain was Pecharunt at 3.
Yeah.
So Dragon's Pecharunt only died 3 times,
Was that only when?
but
No, I think. Dragon went 8-2, so it was only when he lost plus one more game, which is very, very good.
Yes. Somehow the second lowest is my Killer Wattrel, which
Yeah, that was
actually surprises me.
literally only when you lost the dud.
Yeah, it's literally my 5 games I lost is just the ones that it died in.
Yep,
Huh.
that's the only thing you can say that for.
But yeah, let's go through this. Like we said, Steel's Rillaboom's at the bottom there at 1 and 10. Flying's Garganical at 3 and 10.
Yeah,
Garganical, it was an interesting choice for Flying.
it was on the bottom most of the season, and then did okay right at the end.
Yeah, it was doing alright. It's one of those Pokemon that we've seen used well in the past, but the moment people figure out how to counter it, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
Poison's Umbreon at 3 and 9. I still think this was, I was in the minority, but I thought this was actually a decent choice for Poison.
yeah. I just think you know your poison, just take like Hydreigon or something with Levitate
Yeah.
and just be
I
immune to everything
believe
or
at
not
that
weak to
point they
anything.
couldn't take They couldn't take Hydreigon anyway.
Yeah, well,
We'd had 2 dragons picked and 2 darks picked by that point, no matter what.
take like Rotom Wash or something with Levitate. I don't know. Something
I know what
would
you
have
mean
been
though, yeah.
available with Levitate. Or even
Well, I
just like a
believe
better Pokemon.
what was Poison? When was Poison taken? So that was it was the fourth last pick
So there wouldn't have been a
of the
lot left.
draft. So there was not like Dark had just had its last pick taken, the pick before. Um, Electric had already had its 2 taken very early on.
Yeah.
Um, both, Dragon had been taken early on. So I don't know how many Levitators were left, especially decent typing wise, because you would have stuck with the lower typings.
Yeah.
Not lower typings, but you were a lot of the majorly important typings that already had their 2 taken from them at that point. So it's a bit of that's the one thing we've got to remember in these types of situations is that because we set it as a rule where only 2 Pokemon of each type could be taken,
Yeah.
it made things so much more interesting when we got back down to those players that got the early typing picks. Their captain picks were relegated to sitting there with
Yeah.
quote unquote bad typings. We
I'm
say
still very
that.
glad we did that rule.
I think it was much more interesting.
And also,
Um,
because losing Valiant and Tusk was a pain in the ass as it was. If I lost like 3 more Pokemon, it would have made
correct.
fighting so much
Yeah.
worse. Or imagine if Ice lost like something else as well.
Yeah, correct. We move up 15th place. Psychic's Arcalodon at 3 and 8.
Yeah.
Sadly Arcalodon just didn't.
Not much to say about it, really.
No, it didn't do much, sadly. Which saddens me because it was the one just before me. I was looking to take that thing.
Oh, that would have been so good with water.
That in the rain would have been so good. 14th, Bug's Eye and Valiant.
Did
Valiant
okay.
was, yeah, it was fine. I think it was fine.
Did its job. I mean, it's not a tanky Pokemon. It's probably going to die most weeks. Um, but yeah, it was all right. I mean, it's still
Yeah.
something that could take any battle by storm.
Now with this next one, 13th place, I will put a caveat here. This is one of the Pokemon why we have been saying this whole time, defensive Terra Pokemon have been the best.
Yeah.
So the fact that it is 13th place, Galarian Slowking, Normal's Galarian Slowking at 4 and 7, does not put this Pokemon down at all,
No,
in
it
my
was
opinion.
definitely a top 5 Terra captain.
I think it was a top 5 captain. Now, to be
Um,
fair, this is our Golden Fist, so this is different. This is obviously
yeah.
just kills and deaths. But Galarian Slowking, yeah, I would 100% agree, top 5 without a doubt.
It was more before it terrored because it 4 times resist fighting. Before it
Correct.
terrored, it was so valuable. Once it terrored, it was like okay, but it was just another thing weak to fighting that you were expecting to go up against.
Well, having its access to Regenerator, having access to the Chili Reception, being able to
Yeah,
get out to get the Regenerator, the slow pivot. Slow pivot is still just as good as fast pivot, in my opinion.
it's
Um,
probably better to be honest.
as long as you can live, yes.
Yeah. If
Because
it's like
sometimes you can't.
U-turn or like chili reception or something that doesn't lower stats, like parting shot, then I think slow is better. But parting shot being faster and lowering stats means that you're going to take less with the next one, so
Yes.
probably better.
12th place, Fairies Galarian Darmanitan.
Yeah,
This
I'm
was a bit
surprised.
disappointing.
Yeah. Just never
Um,
got off the ground, really. I mean,
no, Galarian Dimension is such a powerful Pokemon.
I don't even think the way he built it most weeks was that bad. It was more
No,
its positioning in
I
game.
agree.
It really would have benefited from having like Play Rough or access to Terra Blast or something, but it just didn't have any fairy moves to hit
Yeah,
stab. Um, it was clicking Earthquake most of the time, or like Superpower, because it needed to hit the steel types that were being brought into fairy.
that's the one downside for a national dex season like we've been doing is that not all Pokemon do get access to Terra Blast because they're
Mm.
not in the most recent games, like how not any of the new Pokemon don't get access to Hidden Power.
Yep, and then
Yeah, so taking that doesn't always work out.
if you don't have Terra Blast and you're not a special attacker, then you can't use really anything
Yeah,
of your type sometimes.
pretty much. 11th, we have Ghost's Weavile with 7 and 10.
Yeah, I
Weavile,
mean, yeah.
look, Weavile did its job when it was able to do its job. There was a couple of close ones with that Weavile, to be fair.
Yeah.
The comeback against normal. Was it normal or was it dark? No, it was dark, I think,
Um,
the comeback against dark in that final week.
which
Weavile did
Weavile? Yeah, it was
Weavile
dark.
did come through in that matchup specifically, which
Yeah.
I believe is where a majority of its kills came from.
Yeah.
But Weavile it did its job
Yep.
when it came in. I think that's as much as we can say about Weavile. And then rounding off, starting the top 10 is my boy Water's Kilowattrel at 3 and 5. I was a very big fan of this. Kilowattrel is one of my favorite Pokemon from this new generation.
Yeah.
It's so
Nice.
well done. I think it's great. In hindsight, I have said that maybe taking something like Thunderous Therian might have been better. But Kilowattrel had that speed.
Yeah, the
Kilowattrel was
speed
just the
is just
thought
nice.
process where I was going. I'm not, I've said it before. I kind of wish it had access to Heatwave. I think giving this thing access to Heatwave would have been incredible for it.
Mm.
But I'm not going to complain with what it was.
Yeah.
I picked it for a reason. It did exactly what I needed it to.
10 and 9 Petron are both ones that just they didn't get a lot of kills, but they didn't die a lot either. So
Yeah. Somehow
that's
we've ended up as the two lowest kills, which I'm quite okay with.
yeah. Besides Rillaboom, although Rillaboom got some illegitimate kills, I think it got like 3 kills that didn't end up counting because there was some sort of accidental cheating
Yeah.
involved.
I believe it was missed Terra or it was non-Terra. It was the wrong Terra. We had a lot of Terra issues this season.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right, you want to take from 9 upwards?
Yeah. So well, Petron we just explained it just didn't die, unless he was going to lose. Except once, it just didn't die. Um, just a good pivot. It also, I feel like, didn't come out a lot because Dragon had a few sweeps this season, so I think it was kind of just there in the back, not really sent out while the rest of the team swept. Number 8, Tapu Koko, was kind of always in the negatives for differential all season as it went, but it did its job as well. It's something you'd probably expect to get more kills, but it was used as a pivot to
He
get.
used it as a setup pivot mon, let's be
Yeah, I
honest.
mean,
It
it
was
if it wasn't for Coco, then Boulder wouldn't have been dual MVP
no,
and Golden Fist winner. So it
God
did its
no,
job.
no.
It definitely did its job. Number 7 was Armourouge. Armourouge got a few kills against Ghost in that final week. It was probably like hovering around 11th and 12th for most of the season. Probably one of my least favorite captain picks, although it wasn't bad. I just think imagine if he picked because Dark was already so good this season. Imagine if he picked something like Raging Bolt or something stupid like that. That's just
Yeah.
strong to go along with Dark. I feel
No,
like
I'm
that would
with
have
you.
been insane.
I was looking at it. I was looking at when he picked Armorage. I'm like, okay, where's the what's the plan here?
Yeah.
Like, where is this going?
Or even like if he didn't get the chance to pick Aegislash, but that would have been quite good. Or
Oh,
even Goldengo.
I don't even want to think about Aegislash on Dark. That would have been disgusting.
Because you're immune to fighting, you resist fairy, and you resist bug, which I think are all of Dark's weaknesses.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
Goldengo would have been quite nice. and it's just
Yeah,
strong. Number
yeah.
6 we have Blissey. Blissey was like 5-1 at one stage, but it just did enough early in the season that it was never really going to drop outside the top 7 or 8 Pokemon.
I've said
Um,
from a long time, Blissey is one of those Pokemon where if you do not have, and you know you're going into Blissey,
yeah,
but if you do not plan for Blissey, you're not beating it.
yeah, it
You
is
know,
ridiculous.
it's just it used to be the case where Blissey was worse than Chansey. You know, Chansey
Yeah,
used to be a lot better than Blissey. Nowadays, they're pretty equal standing, in my
yep,
opinion.
pretty much. Blissey is one of the goats of the SBL. Equal most championships with Togedemaru. They both have 3.
This is true.
So Electric actually had access to both of them, which is pretty cool. In number 5, we have Landorus Eye, which was probably Ice's best mon all season. In fact, definitely Ice's best mon. Just
It
managed
was,
to
yep.
rack up kills. Only died when he lost, which was 8 times, but didn't die when he won. It was, I think, the best mon both times when he won.
I believe so, yeah.
Number 4, Walking Wake. This thing was number 1 for the first half of the season and then kind of completely fell off a cliff. There's
I
been
think it
lots
was
of
what?
controversy around Walking Wake in the last couple SBL seasons as to whether it's actually very good or not.
Yeah, the start of this season, Walking Week almost, I don't know if it's swept, but it was doing incredible work the first couple of weeks and then it just stopped.
Yeah, that is kind of how it went.
Yeah.
3 Aegislash. Well, the top 4 all have 6 deaths, and there's just the kills separating
Yeah, I
them,
just
really.
noticed that.
Yeah.
Huh.
3 Aegislash. I loved it. Just very solid all season. A couple games it didn't really do much and died. Um, there was also a couple games where it would like set up a sweep and then, set up a sweep for something else and then go from there. Tusk in second, we were talking about it, just found a way to get kills. He ended up having to run it like Sash most weeks or get it behind screens and run a weakness policy, try to get a rapid spin off, go from there. Um, so yeah, I thought it was quite good. And then we think the best captain all season,
Yeah.
and the Golden Fist thinks so too, is Volcanion. Just so good. We've talked about it at length already, but yeah.
Such a good pick. Like I said, I was very much like, this will be fine losing it in the draft, and then I was very wrong.
Yeah.
I was very wrong, and I will admit that.
Yeah, it's just a very cool Pokemon. But yeah, all right. That was that.
That's everything here.
That was probably a much longer video than I expected it to be.
Alrighty, well, thank you guys for joining us for this season. We will have finals coming up. So we've got a few weeks of that, as I explained in the bracket at the end of the week 11's episode. Yeah, and with that, thank you very much for joining us.
Yep. See ya.